Hey everyone! Happy Tuesday. So excited to celebrate that we got to meet together on Saturday. Wasn't it beautiful? It just filled my heart to see so many of you there and meet you and hug you and connect with you and thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for coming. I just feel like I'm carrying you around in my heart with me. Okay, we're gonna grab Marty. See if that worked. Let us know if you're watching. Leave a comment. Let us know if you were there on Saturday at our Pink Sink Tea. Hi, Kimmy. Hi, Marty.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's been a busy morning for us, huh? We
Yep.
both we're just fitting this in right between other obligations that we have. So I'm glad that we can make this work, and I'm glad that we can connect with you guys. And today we're going to talk about grieving our past life. And Marty, maybe you have a better word for it, but that's kind of how I feel. For me, I feel like I have before cancer and I have after cancer, and there's no going back to before cancer.
Mm.
And I I've talked to several people. People think that because I have hair now that I must be feeling good.
Ah,
You're beautiful too, Kimmy. Um, but that's a common thing. Like even when my hair started growing back, just you know, as short as ever, people were like, "Oh, you must be doing so great because you have hair." And I can see why they would think that, but that's just kind of one little indication of how you think that you're going to feel normal because you're starting to look more normal. Um, but you're changed forever. And we like to use that term, well, there's a new normal. And yeah, maybe that's the right term. Maybe you could help us navigate through these feelings because it is so real and it's something that we're dealing with every day, constantly. And even when we don't have that constant pain maybe that we used to, or the constant nausea, or the constant um, symptoms that we're feeling from chemo or radiation or whatever treatment, surgery, whatever treatment we're going through, maybe those are more on the back burner. We're still different. We're not the same. And going forward, the hopes that we have for our life are complicated. Like, maybe I'm stage 4, maybe I'm living with this forever. Maybe I'm just like, for me right now, I'm not stage 4. I've got to make it another year and a few months before I am in the clear. I'm out of that rapid recurrence rate period of time. So just our life expectancy, our life plans, it's just so different. Everything's different. So how do we manage this moving forward?
so the first thing that comes to mind is actually acceptance. And that's a bugger. And nobody likes to hear that word. But if you're still like resenting or regretting, you haven't really accepted, which means you're not really grieving. Grief
Mm.
is like the healthy, like processing and letting go so that you can move forward. If you're still resenting that your life isn't what it used to be, or you're still regretting that your life isn't what it used to be, you're basically keeping yourself stuck.
Interesting. Okay. That's hard. That is really hard for me to hear.
No kidding. Yeah, I can roll out the words. It all comes down to acceptance, but like that's a whole thing. I get it. I get it. And just like anything else, like I'm going to propose that that's actually something that you come in and out of.
Mm.
Sometimes you're more in a state of acceptance than other times.
Sorry, this is making me cry.
Well,
It's hard.
yeah, it is hard. It is hard. And one of the things that I hate the most about being mortal is that there's just no such thing as a finish line. You know, there's no, okay, I worked so hard on accepting this trauma and now I'm done. Like,
Check.
dang it, you're never done. But there's definitely moments where you're in more of a place of acceptance than others, right?
True.
And so I guess the myth that I want to dispel is that acceptance doesn't mean that you're just, oh, my life's over, I've accepted that now. That's actually just kind of a mopey version of denial. That's not really acceptance. True acceptance is a place of peace and a place of strength that gives you the ability to move forward. That gives you the ability to look with clarity and say, okay, is this a problem that I can solve? It's not just laying down and letting everything stay the way it is. It's going, okay, I accept that this is my situation. I don't like where my current energy levels are at. Is that a problem that I can solve? Or is it a problem that I need to look for more ways to work around? Or is it a problem that I actually need to do a little bit of both for? Does that make sense?
It totally does, because when you talk about, sorry, I'm just still trying to get over my emotions, but when you talk about acceptance and you can't move on until you accept, I feel like I'm more in denial of, no, I'm going to get better. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be able to do everything that I used to be able to do. That's my kind of denial that I am not ready to completely let go of. But at the same time, I know exactly what you mean about what, can I change it? Is it something that I can change or will change? And if not, then what do I do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. It's hard. And, I don't have like a magic 3-step process for coming to acceptance either.
Yeah. But just
It's
asking, can I
a
control
journey.
that? Can I change that? Just asking that question, I think, is really powerful.
Absolutely.
Like, can
Any
I
form
change?
of asking yourself questions is going to be helpful and powerful.
Yeah. And then if I can't change it, can I make peace with it? And I have to say, when we were at the Pink Sink Tea on Saturday, I was amazed with the positivity that I felt from the women there. I was amazed. And it was more than just putting on a smile. There was some kind of peace that was in the faces of these women. I never heard anybody complain. And maybe that was just my experience. Maybe they didn't dare complain to me, but I never heard anybody complain about what they were doing. And I was asking people all the time, like, what kind of treatment are you doing right now? Where are you doing things? And it was a statement of fact. This is what I'm doing. And there was a lot of hope and a lot of peace. And I came away from that event, my heart was just filled with hope and positivity and strength. I think those are probably the top 3 words. Hope, positivity, strength. There was peace in people's eyes, even if they were dealing with really, really difficult things. There was hope. And they must have learned this 3-step process that they need to do to accept. And can I change it? Then yeah, what am I going to do to change it? And it might be a long road to change, right?
Yeah.
If I can't, how am I going to learn to accept it?
Yeah. Well, and so as we've been talking, maybe I can give you a little exercise that can help. Like, it's not a magic bullet, but I think it can help with the process. I mean, from conversations that we've had, how helpful I think it is to personify things.
Yes.
And so if you imagine basically making it a conversation, like if you're having a hard time accepting your new energy levels, for example, imagine a conversation with your energy levels and go ahead and be like, dude, you are not what you used to be, and I am so disappointed. Like, you have let me down. My life is not the same now. And go ahead and vent, but then just like you would with a person that, if you're trying to work out something, if I had to be like, hey, Cammie, I've got a problem. We've got to work this out. Like, I would tell you what the problem was, but I wouldn't just sit and rail on you. I'd be like, what's your side of the story? How is this working out for you? So you can be like, hey, energy levels, tell me, where are you at? What do you think of all this? And it's not like that conversation even needs to bring you to an answer. Just having that conversation will help you to start to feel a level of acceptance. Because that conversation is a way of not fighting it.
Mm.
It's a way of helping you subconsciously to quit going, I don't have the energy anymore. I'm so mad about it. And to just, okay, it is what it is. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And in my case, I tend to just be like, I'll deal with it later, and just put it off and ignore it and think it'll get better or go away. And typically it doesn't get better or go away. And until I actually face it and feel it and maybe never, but I'm not going to be able to reach that level of acceptance that you're talking about if I don't even acknowledge that it's there. So that's
so I'll suggest another image for you as you're saying to yourself, okay, I will deal with that later. Just keep it in mind, like imagine that it keeps growing. So you can choose.
Yeah.
You can deal with it now while it's little. You can put it off, but just know that you're also choosing to deal with it when it's bigger.
Yeah.
And so,
so go to the
procrastination feels so good, but do you want it bigger?
Right. It's going to be harder to deal with later.
Yeah.
So, and even just, acknowledging that it's there, even if you haven't accepted that this is going to be the new normal. And I just don't even know if that is the term that I want to use because, for lack of a better term, but I think that if we just acknowledge that it's there, that's one step towards accepting it.
For sure.
We don't feel like, oh, I'm just so at peace with this new energy level and this new part-time job that I have of going to all the doctor's appointments, or, the constant side effects of the medication that I'm going to be on for years. Maybe I don't like it still, but at least I'm going to say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that even saying it out loud is like powerful in a certain way. Like, I am dealing with this, and so it's kind of like another, just bring it on. This is something else I'm dealing with in life. It's an everyday thing that's not going to go away, but I do hard things. So just tack that onto the rest of the things that I'm doing that are hard.
Well, and tell me how it feels to be like, going to all these doctor's appointments. It's like having a part-time job. It takes so much time. Or to go, yeah, it's like having a part-time job. I am fighting the fight, and it takes a lot of time. You're basically saying the same thing, but which one feels more empowering?
I love that. Yes. The way you're talking to yourself, it could be like, oh, poor me, I'm a victim. Or, no, this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it so I can live.
Mm-hmm.
And empowered by this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's something.
And the stronger way of framing it is a form of acceptance.
Oh, wow.
Because you're like, this is what I'm doing versus this is what life is doing to me.
Yes. Like I'm not a victim. That's not my identity. My energy level is not my identity.
Yeah.
My symptoms are not my identity. This is just something that I'm doing along with, making the
Yeah.
bed or
Yeah.
doing the laundry, Yeah.
Yeah. So own it, because you could choose to not go to the doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
You could choose to just be like, oh, I'm just done. You're choosing to fight.
Yeah.
And that's a badge of honor.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking about spring break coming up for anybody that's got little kids. You have a week off and you might be thinking, oh, this is the time that we usually get away or go do fun things. But if you're in the middle of treatment and you can't do that because you're going into radiation every day, or you just don't feel good enough because of recovering from surgery, or you're doing chemotherapy or whatever it is, that's something that you are mourning, right? Like that's my past life. That's what we used to do. And I'm feeling bad that I can't do that anymore, right? Like at
But
least
just actually acknowledge, I'm in mourning. I feel bad that I can't do this anymore. Because sitting and having a pity party about it doesn't help you.
Mhm.
The funeral is not for the dude that dies. It's for everybody else
Yeah.
to have a chance to acknowledge that they're sad, that they're going to miss him, that life is going to be different now. It's a ceremony that helps the living.
Yeah.
It is not for the person that passed on.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, if you are sad that you do not get to have the spring break that you used to get to have, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
This is disappointing. I don't like it. Like being mopey and whiny about it isn't helping
Right.
you. But
Right.
acknowledging it, I don't like this. I wish we could do it the way that we used to do it. Is there something that I can do instead? Um, and can I acknowledge that I'm not trying to replicate past things, because I
Right.
can't. And so it's not going to feel right. It's not going to be fun if all I'm trying to do is replicate the past. But is there
Right.
something new that I can do, that I can look forward to, that I can enjoy?
Yeah. I love that. And if you don't acknowledge in the first place that you're grieving that, then you
Mm-hmm.
can't move forward and make a different plan,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's very powerful, acknowledging what you're feeling bad about, what you're grieving, basically. I love
Definitely.
that.
Definitely.
And I think it brings us, just to wrap up, I just feel like I need to share this experience that I had 2 years ago when I was diagnosed and I had the MRI. My tumor didn't show up on mammograms or ultrasounds, so I finally had an MRI on my birthday, April 1st, and that's when the tumor showed up, and it was 4.7 centimeters, and that meant that, chemo, everything, and it was spring break. And this is just making me think we had a very different spring break because we had this huge unknown, which is with us, hanging over our heads constantly. And there was no relaxing. There was no putting that down. It was just there first thing when you wake up in the morning, and when you wake up in the middle of the night. It was just like, there's no relaxing because it was not the new normal, I guess. We weren't used to it. But we did go to the zoo with the rest of Utah. It felt like everybody was at the zoo. And I remember looking at the huge crowds and thinking, I wonder who else is walking around with bad news, that their life is going to be different and they don't know how it's going to be different. But I wonder who else is carrying around this burden right now. Maybe
Wow.
it's cancer, maybe it's something else, but it made me look at people with so much more compassion and realize that people carry around hard things all the time, and we have no clue. We have no idea. Even people that we do know, we don't really know the hard things that they're carrying around. At that point, I hadn't told a lot of people, You know, I think it was coming home from the zoo that day that I realized, oh, I got a shirt from my sister that was like this breast cancer warrior shirt. I got it in the mail, and I'm realizing at that point I probably need to tell people so I can have, well, they're going to find out when I don't have hair anymore, but you know, I needed support and I needed people to know so they could support my family.
Yeah.
And so that's what I decided to tell people. And for me, that was a form of accepting, because I was going
Yeah.
around just hiding it from everybody. I mean, they could probably tell because my eyes did not, I mean, I was just constantly crying. It was, you know, levels of
Yeah.
grief, I guess. But I finally decided I'm going to be open about this. And it was really hard for me to do that, but I felt like what you were talking about, like that was my form of acceptance and kind of saying it out loud and acknowledging it to the world. And then I can make a plan to kind of move forward. So
Yeah.
I think that was, it was very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. That insight is really beautiful. And in my personal experience, the more open I am about things, the less they hurt, the less they fester, the
Yeah.
quicker they heal, like whatever the problem is. We need to acknowledge it to ourselves and we need to be open about it to others. And that willingness to be vulnerable is is a powerful way to heal.
Yeah. And then we can find that, you know, make peace with it on some
Mhm,
level. And it takes time.
mhm.
But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Thank you. I feel like I've moved through some things that I hadn't connected before. So this was a great little therapy session for me. I hope it helps
Good.
people too. Thank you so much, Marty, and thank you for watching. Those that have joined, we love to see you here. Remember, we're doing these every Tuesday, but you can always find them on YouTube. And if you want to connect with Marty, she's at martigrant.com. Did I say it right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Love you guys. Fight the good fight. Spread your love, spread your sunshine. Have a good day.